Hey guys, Tyro here, bringing you this 12th installment of Micro Tips and Tricks for Company of Heroes 2. First up, we have Blocking Building Doors, Part 2. In Micro Tips 3, I covered several ways to wire off doors. However, since then I've noticed there are several buildings in the game, such as this church on Lost Glider, where the doors are too wide to be wired off by one lengthways piece of wire. An option for these wide doors is to make two lengthways pieces of wire, though making two pieces of wire is more time consuming. You can wire off these wide doors with a widthways piece of wire, however you need to be careful with your placement because this method can lead to several pitfalls. If you build it too close, which is easy to do when making it widthways, squads will still be able to use the door. Also, if the door is close to the edge of the building, making wire widthways will completely fail to block it. Whereas on the same door, a lengthways piece of wire will block it perfectly. If you make it so it's only just touching the door, units may still be able to squeeze in, but they will get trapped on their way out. This is a good option, however the placement is quite fussy. You can also block doors with sandbags in the same way you can with wire. This has several advantages, as sandbags cannot be destroyed by engineers with hazard removal packages or crushed by light vehicles. However, if you try to make them like the one-piece widthways trap from earlier, because sandbags can be vaulted, they cannot trap infantry that can vault, only team weapons. This trick does not work with conscript sandbags due to their length and collision detection when you try to build them. Next up is the ultimate guide to using attack ground. Note that despite a flare providing sight of the flak panzer, because there is smoke blocking the anti-tank gun's direct line of sight, it will not auto-attack, and if you give it an attack command it will try to move through the smoke in order to engage it. It is in situations like this, shooting through a hedgerow, and shooting at a vehicle as it disappears into the fog of war but is still in range, that the attack ground command is required. When using attack ground, I suggest you target slightly behind the enemy vehicle, like this, because if you try to target on the vehicle, sometimes the shell will scatter short and end up hitting the ground instead of the vehicle. One of the mechanisms for anti-tank guns is that after you give them an order to attack, they have to rotate the barrel towards the target before they can fire. If the target is on the edge or on the other side of the arc from the last shot, this rotation time can lead to missed opportunities for damage. Because of that, when using attack ground against a moving target, I recommend you give continuous attack ground commands along the vehicle's movement path, so once the barrel has finished rotating, it will fire at the correct target, and as soon as it has reloaded, it will fire off another shot perfectly on target because the barrel is already pointing the correct direction. When using this method, if you don't have sticky selection on, it is quite easy to accidentally deselect your anti-tank gun. But if it is bound to a control group, this allows you to quickly reselect it and get back to issuing attack ground commands. Try listen to engine noise in the fog of war to help locate enemy tanks and attempt blind attack ground shots. Also, watch and listen in the fog of war for world objects being destroyed as vehicles run them over. This can also help you locate enemy vehicles for blind attack ground shots. Note that the flak panzer is slightly beyond the anti-tank gun's maximum range. However, if you use attack ground at max range, sometimes the shell will scatter long and end up hitting the enemy vehicle. This long shot is worth attempting, especially if it would result in the killing blow. Remember, all attack ground shots count as scatter shots, so they will always get blocked by heavy cover world objects such as this wall, and they can also be blocked by some light cover world objects such as these barrels. Scatter shots will also very frequently hit the ground when they are being fired uphill. For more information on scatter shots, check out the Star series on vehicle mechanics. That's it for this installment, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe and share it with your friends, but not with your enemies. And thank you to my Patreon backers that help me keep going.